Welcome back. One aspect of the Idle No More movement making its way across Facebook and Twitter these days is the word sovereignty. Some say it's something that the Indigenous people of Turtle Island should go back to, but is it just a word, or is it a concept that has the Canadian government worried? Lester House says he is part of a tribe that isn't part of the Indian Act system. We spoke to him earlier today. Thank you for joining us in studio today there, Lester. Now, tribal sovereignty, it sounds scary to a lot of people in everyday language, and to grassroots Canadians and other people. What does it mean?
Tribal sovereignty, if understood and explained properly legally, gives back the power to the Indian people in respect to the land, their ability to take care of the land themselves by their tribal law, also to decide who comes on the land and what goes off the land in relation to whether it be a resource or people themselves, sports, hunting and whatnot. They do the regulating, so tribal law takes precedence over Canadian law. But you must be a legal tribe according to international law.
Okay, now what is the difference between tribal sovereignty and treaty rights?
Tribal sovereignty will give you back your treaty rights. Right now, the treaty rights are not just being eroded, they're being terminated by the present government called the Harper Government of Canada, or the party that he represents. They do, in some respects, have the right to do it, because the treaty rights are not guaranteed by any constitution. Treaty rights belong to the international level of law, which the treaty will guarantee, because the treaty itself is an agreement between two sovereigns. There's nothing more in the treaty and understanding the rule of law that binds treaty. It can only be made between sovereigns, and it can only be based upon peace, not the surrender of land, the imprisonment of the people on reservations as we've seen. That's taking away their true sovereign or treaty rights. That's the difference. Well,
it seems to me there's a couple of ideas coming together here and in some ways colliding. So what is the difference between a tribal group, as you say, recognized by international law, and a band recognized underneath the Indian Act? What is the difference between those two groups? And then how does that fit into the idea of Canada that our treaties are not international but civil and inner working?
Yes. Okay, to begin with, a sovereign tribe, understanding international law, is a tribe that is ruled by the women, a tribe that is not registered under the authority of any government other than their own.
Okay.
Tribal sovereignty differs than what you call Canadian sovereignty, because Canadian sovereignty means that you are a person, and according to international law, an Indian can never be a person. And the law is straightforward. A civilized nation such as Canada cannot make an Indian into a person. It violates international law itself. For the chief and council system, or the elective system, all the way up to what's known as the AFN, they are nothing more than a corporate charter. They're powerless because they're under the present government. They're under the government of Canada, which is also a corporate government.
Okay, and that's why Canada feels that it can say that our treaties are not international, but within Confederation.
Yes. See, they can still be brought to the international level. Those treaties can. But you got to have the proper legal representatives, and you must be schooled in international law, and you must have a degree as a legal advisor issued by the United Nations Law Department. I know that because I've done it.
Okay, so why is Canada's political and corporate establishment afraid of all that we're talking about now?
To put it in so that everybody will understand it, the fear is that the Indian will be given powers or take back powers that were actually taken from him illegally, or with a lie, if you will. So when the Indian is taken back, what really does belong to him, we must look at it, first of all, as a responsibility. And that is a legal responsibility, to take care of the land. And if it's done properly, it is a threat to those whose interest is to exploit the land. And that's the corporate government of Canada. That's their purpose, and so far that's been their policy. To make the Indian into a native or aboriginal. And there's a lot of words here that have very, very heavy-duty legal interpretation. Now, Once the treaty is surrendered, or if you domesticate it, then you no longer are an Indian legally. So they're doing what they're doing by you being a corporation and not a true legal Indian.
Okay, sir.
That's law.
Thank you very much for giving us your thoughts on these ideas. They're certainly at the center of a lot of conversations that are going on right now.
Yes, I'm quite interested in what's been going on here. I check on APTN once in a while to get tuned in.
All right. Thank you,
Michael.
Excellent.